This is not.
All set. Good evening and welcome to the regular town council meeting for April 28th, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everybody to stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
To the republic, which advanced, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everybody join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Moving on to item number 5 tonight, we have a presentation from MSAD 53 on the. Is it Littlefield or Lori?
Lori's gonna pass out. Do you all have these?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone has this. So first, apologies for getting it so late, but we've been trying to hack away at it before it got here. From the original start, we've eliminated 4 teaching positions, which beneficial to the budget. We're gonna be moving into the building hopefully in 2029. And the state will only approve 3 classrooms per grade level. So as teachers get done, we're not rehiring. So that by the time we move in, we won't hopefully not have to cut in positions. So big items to look at, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Town valuations went up significantly, 14.7% this year, which is up from an increase last year of almost 12.5%. And Pittsfield came in at 17.24%, which is nothing we have control over. That is all set by the state. And then saying that, just so you know, LD, I think it's 2229, might be 2226, but they just passed kind of support for towns similar or districts similar to ours to help with the state subsidies. So next year, we should see a benefit in that new formula, an increase in subsidy. We originally lost close to 95,000 in subsidy this year. We were notified last week that they're doing a one-time check in July. For us, it's $59,020. We made the decision to put that right on to lower taxes rather than put anything back in the budget. So hopefully EPS will see a change next year. The increase in evaluations, we worked really hard to come in at a budget of an increase of 1.67%, which is pretty hard to do when you have salaries that are set by union contracts. And I will say we still haven't locked in on fuel. We tried early in March and nobody was taking lock-ins, and so we're kind of playing the waiting game. We've got we budgeted an estimate, a high estimate. We are going to use 400 of our fund balance to also work to bring down taxes, and we did our best with your increase in valuation. It's full of stuff, but 1.67 I think is the lowest budget increase we've had in a very long time.
Yeah.
Questions that you might have?
That's great. Counselors, do you have any questions off the top of your head for Sherry?
Detroit was happy, I can tell you that. They're coming in at a negative increase.
Yeah.
I bet that.
They got hit hard a couple of years ago, but we didn't even have to go there this year. I just sent a little heart on it and sent it off, so.
There you go.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's having the positions, because it's hard to nickel and dime teachers' budgets. to get to the big hunks that we needed. So having positions that we were able to take out of the budget and not replace now is helpful this year. And hopefully we'll see an improvement next year. If we can hold the line on the budget and get more state subsidy, you should see a decline, hopefully. Yeah.
That sounds good. Is there any questions from the audience regarding the school?
It's super flat, just,
Yeah. All right, I mean, yeah, that's excellent work.
Thank
I
you.
know it's a challenge.
It is,
We-
definitely, but
We
great
understand that.
team.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I would also say the next straw poll for the new school construction is June 8th at. That's like 6:30. I will send it to the towns because we'll need to do the voter check-in. The budget hearing in the gym is May 21st at
Okay.
6:30. Would love to have as many of you there as possible. I think we changed it to Thursday so we don't conflict with you.
Yeah.
That will be at Warsaw. The straw poll on June 8th will be at Vickery because there's something going on in the Warsaw gym.
Okay,
So, that's our concept design, and then the next, in June, end of June and 1st of July, we'll get final approval from the state, and then referendum is September 15th. So, any
Okay.
questions on that?
Exciting.
It is very exciting.
very exciting, yes. Awesome,
And I thank you for all your support. This is my last.
yeah,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
Appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that was painless.
Yes, it was.
The rest of the night, let's hope it continues. Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, we have a public hearing tonight on, order 2606. Do we wanna waive the reading of that? We just,
Make a motion,
waive the reading and open it up for public.
make a motion that we. Reading of the order. And
Open it up.
typically, open it, stipulate that, as written, open it up to comment.
A second. Moved and seconded. That was, that,
Yeah.
all right, Jack, you wanna speak to this, briefly?
Sure.
We've seen it quite a few times, so I think the council's pretty well aware of it, but.
Yeah, this is a project going on right now, across the street from us, it's referred to as the Meeting House Project, formerly the church on Main Street. Mike Dow is doing a complete renovation of the interior and site work outside for some commercial space development, and is, making a significant investment in our downtown, and had approached us back in the fall about creating a tax increment financing district so that we'd be able to basically credit his project with some of the tax revenues for a period of time. And we've got a couple other of these type arrangements in town, and we basically really just modeled it after, I think, the most recent one. And so this is proposed to be a 20-year TIF district. And I don't know how familiar everybody is with TIF districts, but when you create one and you have valuation that's in that district, it basically gets separated from the rest of the town valuation. That valuation doesn't become included in the formulas that Sherry was just referring to, that actually affect what the school assessment is, or the formula that determines county taxes, or it's taken away from the formula that calculates revenue sharing. So there are benefits. And there's a lot of kind of schedules and calculations in the documents you might have been able to see that basically try to project those tax shifts and the savings that we would have on those formulas over time, not losing revenue sharing because of the value, not getting that incrementally higher assessments with county school because of that. And we also talked about the context of being able to do a TIF district that would be larger than just that one parcel. And that's why we're working on the downtown plan, because we are able to do that. We just need to have a downtown plan in order to basically fall under what's considered a downtown TIF. But there may be someone here to kind of speak directly on that, and there's plenty that I'm sure they know and can share that I can't.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't grab an agenda when I came in, so I wasn't aware, without reading this, I didn't know what's coming up next, but I'm happy to share, that was a great introduction. So my name is Ryan McNally and I work with Mike Dow. All of you, I think, know Mike, we've been here before talking about this, it's a great introduction. The project that we're working on is to basically revitalize the church into what we're calling a meeting house for an events flexible space, a community space, a couple different streams of revenue there. This week, actually, we're going to also be purchasing Ron's Garage, which is right in front of it. So we're still debating what we're gonna do with that. If the structure stays, it'll have some type of connection to the church and the meeting house. If it goes, there'll be more parking and sort of more beautiful sort of look up at the new building as we renovate it. So right now, what we're thinking is likely the upstairs, when we put dormers up and create a functional upstairs space, will be one source of revenue for us. Probably a leased out space. We're thinking hopefully a healthcare type, PC there. The main space on the main floor will remain a music venue, comedy, arts, wedding venue, whatever we can do sort of the off hours. And then the front space of that building, although this is still up for debate, might be a coffee shop or some service like that, if that doesn't get pushed out into Ron's Garage once we rehab that. So that's sort of our thinking right now. We're still in the design phases with the architect and the construction team, but as you've likely seen, a big portion of the building has come off and we're securing that. And so hopefully in the next month or so, finalizing designs and getting construction working so we can have something open this year. So that's my spiel right now.
Awesome, sounds fantastic.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
great, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
No, yeah, I think this is a great project. You can really see how much has been done over the past few months, really. And I think it's just exciting to kind of envision what's gonna happen there.
Yeah, I'm sure
Great.
we'll share some designs soon with the public, but it's still being nailed down. That's what we're seeing right now is really exciting.
Sure.
So thank you.
Yeah, it is very exciting. We appreciate it. Is there any questions from the audience regarding the order 2606? No, any questions, concerns from? I guess talking to Jack, the 20 years is a pretty standard thing, and then, like you said, it starts high and then it gradually goes down over those 20 years.
Scott code is a 70% credit enhancement, and each year it declines, and it bottoms out at 30% in the later years. And what that does is it, kind of incentivizes the work that goes into making an investment like that, and then the town gains in its benefit over the period of the TIF. And they can be structured different ways. We have one TIF right now, which is structured identically to that with a graduating scale, and then we have another one in the industrial park that's a 50-50 right from A to Z. And so there's different ways you can do it. And this is one that was kind of agreeable to the developer, modeled after a model that we've used, so.
Awesome, thank you, Jack. You guys all set? I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion that we close the hearing to public hearing and comment.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We need to vote on that. Closing.
Yes. We'll suggest.
Yeah.
So.
All right, all those in favor of closing?
Oh, cool.
all those in favor of closing order 2606 to the public hearing, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, order 2606 is now closed. We will move on to reports, the town manager report.
Just a few things. I had mentioned the downtown plan and, we've engaged KV to, work on that with us, and they've, started that process. And kind of laying out these, kind of the plan, the timeline to make sure we get this completed. So that we can ultimately apply for, a larger TIF in 2027. I'll be, meeting with them next week to ensure things get, kicked off, as efficiently as possible. I will be hearing from the MDA on an update on the PI, the villages project that you heard a lot about, a little over a year ago, but, we're still moving to the design phase of that, and, I know the DOT is working on, getting the funding for the design phase, and so I'll know more, about where that stands, when we meet again. And at our last meeting, we had talked about, trying to get, something identified, perhaps as, roof work at the library, given its condition, so, I've reached out to Keith Ewing, at Plymouth Engineering, who leaned on in the past for, a little bit of help on, pulling like bid specs together, and what I wanna do is kind of get a bid spec and maybe get that out and just get prices from some different contractors on what a cost of a roof job would look like, and then we can kind of proceed from there. In terms of what we'd be able to do and when we'd be able to do it. As far as brownfields goes, we've, got the, we expect to have the phase 2, environmental report for the, former, Ford garage site. We have all the information on the bill, we're still waiting on the sampling results and assessment as far as the site, the soils and so forth, but we expect that within a few weeks. The Redemption Center, former Redemption Center building has gone through a phase 1, which is basically historical and, probabilities that there's contaminants, which does lead us to phase 2 for the, actual site investigation. All of this has been funded by KV. We haven't had to pay for any of this, but KV needs to get to the next funding round in order to get funding to move us ahead with phase 2 of the former Redemption Center. So I'm not gonna probably have that for a while. I don't think they're gonna have another funding round until fall. But that's got to move through the process to assess and, perhaps get some, funding for some, remediation. And I've mentioned this before, but we continue to anticipate that we won't have to do any further action at the town garage after we've removed the underground storage tanks. We don't foresee any more work needing to be done there, so that's where all that stands.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Jack.
Yep.
Moving on to old business tonight, there is none, and we'll move on to new business. Nicole, can you please read resolution 2622, please?
First off, that the town council order 2606 Meeting House Municipal Development and Tax Increment Financing District Development Program be adopted.
Look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 2622.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We obviously just discussed this, so I don't think there's much more to say on that. Good. Any questions from the audience regarding 2622? Hearing none. Any further comments from councilors? Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2622, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2622 passes. Moving on to resolution 2623, Nicole.
Above that the town council accepts the bid from blank in the amount of blank for the Honeywell Avenue sewer replacement.
Look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 26-23.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Jack, you wanna speak to this, or Annalise, or?
Yeah, we have bids, as you can see on the bid tabulation, you can see all the unit pricing, you can see a very large, difference between high and low. And it's always good to be able to get into the, kind of under the hood of the bid and see where the quantities differ in the cost. I know Annalise did a lot of research on that bid to make sure it would be suitable, and I don't know if she wants to talk about project and.
Yeah, I'll come up and just make a brief, say a pretty brief thing, because it didn't, I wasn't overly, I'll be honest with you, overly confident when I saw the number, because it's far less than our estimate. And far less than our planning estimate that was 3 years old now, maybe 4 years old, it's been around for a while. Did get references and call them, and they got very, DOT, the town of Oakland and Waterville, which pretty, large sized communities. There are some challenges with paperwork, but I can help, help through that with you guys. And traffic control number was one of their numbers that they kind of missed the beat on. But I have had conversations with them and made them very aware that they would have to follow proper traffic control that the DOT would require. I had no way to really boot them out with the fact that they got good references, but I am a little bit concerned because their price is so low, but this is all loan money. So it does help the town, probably a lot more work for our firm, making this go forward. But their price was very reasonable and would save you money in payments. So I felt that with their good references, that moving ahead would be what we should do. So that's my recommendation. I've already had conversations with them. They're very eager to get going, which is good too. So we'll have a pre-con meeting and I'll set the stage at that meeting if you guys approve them, on things that they have to do, and kind of keep my, keep them moving forward. So, but their price, did have some errors in the bid, and we, worked that out. It was actually like 602,000, but there were some things that they hadn't, multiplied correctly, and they have to go with the number in a certain way. And they agreed to honor the 598,916.
Right.
Any questions?
Yeah, no, I think we're good for now.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions regarding 26-23 from the audience? Hearing none. Any questions, concerns from the council? Certainly a big discrepancy, but.
What was the original estimate?
We're planning, our planning estimate was 800,000, but then we updated that recently, and it was more like 930. So Sergeant's number was kind of like spot on to our estimate.
Yeah, Clark's wasn't too far off. Yeah, the biggest, yeah, anyway.
They're small, so they can do it less expensive.
That's good.
I think they're, yeah, anyway, yeah, is everybody good with going with Oliver's recommendation?
With the experts, right?
Well, I mean, it is funding, it's funded with DEP money, and they require you to go with the low bidder unless you can find a reason to
Okay.
disqualify the low bidder. So
There you go.
just want to be clear, but I'm gonna be here helping and, be good inspectors, so, and I'm sure they can do the work from the references, it's just gonna be more work.
Sure. Okay. Good deal. Do you wanna amend that to
Yeah,
add that in there?
yeah, so make a motion to amend resolution 26-23. To read resolved that the town council accept the bid from Littlefields Construction LLC in the amount of $598,916 for the Honeywell Avenue sewer replacement.
A second.
All right. I will look for a motion from the council to adopt resolution 26-23 as amended.
Make a motion that we.
Oh,
No,
we already did
we're
that.
sorry, yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, yeah, sorry.
Or, you good.
Look for not a motion, what are we looking for?
Yeah, vote.
Yeah, there we go. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2623 as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2623 passes as amended. Moving on to resolution 2624, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council approve the certificate of commitment for water user rates for period ending March 31st, 2026.
For a motion from the council,
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2624.
Second.
moved and seconded. Jack, this is just standard bookkeeping.
Yeah, you should have quarterly, when we do the billing, basically it's a commitment of the quarterly billing. And we had done it in the past, but for whatever reason, we've been missing doing that on some recent quarters, so I want to make sure that you guys see those quarterly commitments and get on track with it.
All right. Are there any questions from the audience regarding resolution 2624? None. Any questions from the council? Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2624, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2624 passes. Moving on to resolution 2625, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council approve the certificate of commitment for sewer user rates for the period ending March 31st, 2026.
Look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 26-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This goes with the previous one, just
Yeah.
standard
There's one for
bookkeeping.
each
But, yeah.
side, yeah.
All right, any questions from the audience regarding 2625? Hearing none. Any questions from the council? All set. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2625, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2625 passes. Moving on to resolution 2626, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council approve bid specifications for 2026 paving.
I'll look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 26-26.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Jack, you want to speak to that?
So what the goal here is we know we don't have a finalized scope of work, we know we don't have a finalized budget. However, we wanna take a shot at getting on the calendars for the contractors and get the unit pricing that it would cost to do whatever we decide to do. So we have a bid spec, we have pretty much 2 years worth of roads, actually, to be honest, that are listed there. At some point, we'll go through and decide what we want to actually do this year. It's been clarified in the bid specs that we would reserve the right to remove or add anything based on what the final scope is. And they are gonna adhere to the unit pricing that they provide. We have asked for the shim, the overlay, and then the light capital paving, which is really just the lighter shim. And crack seal also we've put in there. And those 4 things are basically would be the components for what we would do. And some of what we have in that scope might be stuff that we actually choose to do, but the concern would be is if we waited until June or July, then everybody's busy, we don't get as many bidders, the prices don't come in maybe as good as they would right now, and we maybe get a less value. So, which is really just about trying to be early with what the cost is gonna be, and then make a final decision when we're ready.
Right. So not committed to anything, obviously. We need the budget to pass first, and it's all contingent on that, but. And it does have our year 1 of the paving plan, or year 1 for sure.
Well, it's got a lot of year one, it's got some roads that are in poor condition that
Right.
would be a concern if we waited. Those would deteriorate beyond the type of treatment we wanna give it. It would move on into that next category of more expensive treatment, so. The real key to that whole plan is the roads that are close to deteriorating onto the next level, that becomes more costly, try to get those treated before that happens. And then you can stay with a more of a maintenance treatment versus, not letting more roads fall into a reconstruction category.
Right.
So that would be the goal of making sure that whatever we do in year one, we don't let any of those questionable roads kind of fall off the cliff and become reconstructions. And then, whatever else we do. And when we get the pricing and we see what what our budget does allow for, we could add some more roads in that we might not have expected to be even be able to do in year one. So
We can swap out
swap stuff
if we
out.
needed.
Yep.
Question?
Yeah, obviously, we don't have any bids, we don't have any guaranteed numbers. Is there any idea, anybody seen a number? Annalise, have you guys seen a number per ton?
The numbers I see are gonna be much worse than the numbers you see, because mine are like a utility project with a paving mixed in, but, the recent thing that we just looked at had numbers, for some, my glasses with me for some odd reason, but, just a second. So it was around 143 as a low, all the way up to 400. So you're gonna be down close to the 100, 120, maybe one, you're not gonna, I don't know.
Right.
Because of volume.
Well, yeah, your volume is gonna be higher, but the price of fuel is pretty high right now,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm not sure you're gonna get a great number. But I don't know what that'll be. I was very surprised, at the 143. We never see numbers like that on utility jobs, so they're usually $250, $300 or something.
And we bid pretty well around here. As well.
We tend
You do
to bid it pretty well, and I asked Laura Palmer, who's doing this, if they had any, feeling about how things were, and they kind of deal with bids year round. Some people will bid, late fall for the next season, some people bid, we're in the middle of the winter, and they've bid some of these already, and they've seen some low prices a lot earlier than this. I don't know how, the bids have changed from January or even mid-February to now, but they were seeing very competitive pricing, back then, and I typically, there's escalators and de-escalators involved, so that if the world changes a lot between now and when they're actually here to do it, which could be August or September, we would see a higher price, or we would see a benefit if things could, cool off a little bit.
There's nothing committing us to do it, if we decide it's just too expensive, then we hold off. And rebid it. Are there any questions from the audience regarding resolution 2626? None, any questions from the council? All right, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2626, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2626 passes. Moving on to resolution 2627, Nicole.
So the town council take further action on dangerous buildings at 231 Somerset Avenue and 135 Main Street.
Look for a motion from the council.
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 26-27.
Second. Moved and seconded. So these are the two dangerous buildings that we've talked about for the last 3 months. Probably longer than that, but the update on that is.
Yeah, we do have one of the building owners with us on Zoom. Mr. Reardon has joined us. I know back in February, our order required a receipt of a building condition assessment. We've not yet received those pertaining to either property.
All right. Mr. Reardon, would you like to take the opportunity to let us know where you're at and what's going on?
I'd love to. The engineer that is working on the project was out of the office on vacation almost the entire month of April. He's back now as of the 22nd, and he's working on the report. He emailed me a couple of days ago and said that he'll have it shortly. I guess the concern that I have is that this building has been dilapidating for the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever it is, and it hasn't become an issue until I took occupancy of the building. Nothing has been invested in the property, not one penny in the past 5, 6, 7 years. And then I come in and I'm developing it, and I'm removing trash and I'm removing hazards, and I'm temporarily tarping the roof until it's warm enough to put some rolled rubber roofing up there. We've ordered new glass for the front of the building. We're doing a lot of improvements. And then all of a sudden it's a crisis for the town of Pittsfield. And I guess that's concerning. And I think that this probably stems from issues with Russell Kraft, which my lawyer is going to be requesting a meeting with the town manager, Jack Russell, and the legal counsel, because there are some very concerning things that have been brought to light recently about his personal bias towards me, against me, whatever it may be. And I guess the question is, why would the town of Pittsfield take an adversarial relationship with the only person that has lifted a finger or spent a penny to make safe, beautify, protect, reinvest in 2 properties that were some of the most dilapidated properties in the entire city of Pittsfield, right? It doesn't make sense why you would want to drive people that are actively investing in the community to create housing and create businesses and create jobs. Why you would take an adversarial relationship. None of these notices, this last meeting that I came to, they gave me some paperwork that you served, I guess, to the last owner back in October of last year, which is, I had nothing to do with the building at that point. And so I haven't even been properly noticed. The only notice I received was from the lawyer sending me a certified letter saying, there's a meeting about this building coming up in 7 or 10 days, whatever it was. I haven't received any sort of notices on this building at all, other than you guys were having a meeting about the dangerous conditions, which I didn't create, right? But we are fixing. So I guess that's kind of my thought here, is that I was not properly noticed. The legal process is not proper, and if we have to litigate, we will, but I don't think that's beneficial to anybody. But, a person comes in a couple of months ago, literally, starts cleaning up the project, beautifying it, fixing things. And then all of a sudden it's a crisis, when the last 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, it has not been a crisis. And I guess it brings up some real questions about what's going on and why the town of Pittsfield would take an adversarial role to the only person that has put a penny into properties. I know for a fact that before my father took over 117 a year and a half ago, it had been vacant for 5 years, and probably 15 years before that, before anybody had put a penny into it. And so money is being actively invested in these properties that had foundational issues, roof issues, window issues, siding issues, stuff falling off the side of the building, is dilapidating. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes in to renovate, and then it's like, well, this building is in disrepair. I get it, that we're here to fix it, right? So I'm not refusing to fix these problems. We are actively fixing the problems. Every single day the building is being worked on. Every single day things are moving forward. But cramming this down my throat as a dangerous conditions like this has happened in the past month or 2 or 5 or 6 or 3 years is lunacy. And I would hope that the city would change their position on this, because there's no legal basis for it. There's zero legal basis for it. I was not properly noticed, and when the building changes ownership, the law requires to start the process over for whatever conditions are a crisis now. But again, and we're in the process of putting together a FOIA request, which you guys will be getting soon. But none of this was brought to anybody's. I was never noticed until after we took occupancy of the building, and all of a sudden, this is a crisis that has to be dealt with right now. And the question is, for the last several years, why hasn't anybody been noticed, right? So, like I said, there's some serious questions here. We're going to get to the bottom of it, right? We're going to figure out what the real deal is. But there's some real questions about Russell Kraft and what's going on in the background with him, and we're going to be bringing those to light here very, very soon.
Okay, well, I know it has nothing to do with who owns it or who took it over. I know, obviously, last October we started this process.
I wasn't the owner last October.
Yeah, I know that. So it just proves the point that we're not targeting a specific person or anything in particular. That roof was ripped off 3 years ago, so it wasn't 7, 8, 9 years ago, it was 3. And it's since, obviously, it was trying to be sold by somebody, we were hoping it was gonna get sold. And obviously, it takes time to go through that whole process. In the meantime, we were changing town managers 3 times, we were assessing other dangerous buildings, setting a precedent of how we'd handle different dangerous buildings, and you were in here the last meeting, and we set all these things in place, and you had no problem with providing us with the report of this is not a dangerous building. So there's nothing, this isn't new, and this isn't us expediting anything. We just aren't gonna sit and allow, a building to, it's attached to a theater which the town no longer owns. That's owned by a different entity now. So what happens to your building impacts that building as well. And these are all things that need to be addressed. And as far as, Jack can speak to the legal process and whether it went the right way, the wrong way. I think the legal process may have changed at some point, but.
And we have the benefit of having our attorney here with us, Derek, who could speak to, the statute that this works under and the process that we had, but. You were correct in that we started this process back in the fall, and it started with the former owner. And we can't speak to whether or not the former owner informed you as a buyer about that this communication was happening with him and what was going on. But we did properly notice you as a current owner when we started the formal dangerous building action. So, there's a code action for conditions that started prior to you, and then there was a formal dangerous building action that we did properly notice for. And so
I've talked to my legal counsel in Portland. He just got back off of vacation as well, but he did answer me in an email just briefly over the last couple of days because I told him we had this meeting coming up, and he said that he'll get involved if he needs to. But the notices that you sent to the former owner in October, where you started the dangerous conditions cycle, was not me, and so that process has to start all over again. And again, like I said, we're in a situation where I had to find an engineer. It took me a month to get anybody to even commit to it. And then these people had prior commitments. They're not sitting around waiting for work, right? And then he ended up taking most of April off. And I was surprised by it because I didn't know that was happening. And I emailed him and it said, I'm out of office until August 20 or until April 22nd. I'm like, man, are you kidding me? But there's nothing that I can do about that. I mean, people have lives and they have things that they're doing. But like I said, I just feel like it's trying to be ramrodded down my throat that this has to be addressed right now, where I've had the building for 3 months, and for the last 3 years the roof has been blown off of it. And to my knowledge, you didn't go after Whitmore's or whoever it was that the former owners were, but now it's an issue because I am. And what I'm saying is that I need time to get these people in there, to get the engineer. They're going to be in there this month. They've already told me that they're back from their vacation or whatever they had, and they're going to be starting on this. But again, this is not something, you guys have been around long enough. You guys aren't 15 years old. This. People are not sitting around. It takes time to get these bids in. It takes time for people to commit to something, and then when they commit to it, they can't just drop what they're doing and move in and take care of something because the city is upset that something has been happening for the last 3 years, but now it needs to be addressed immediately. All I'm asking is for time to get these things fixed, right? They're going to get fixed. The building has actively been cleaned out. There's no more stuff in there. The engineers can go in. They can take accurate measurements. They can see the slab boards have been taken off of the roof. All of the stuff is visible now, so they can go in there and do a proper inspection. But this has been months worth of work. It's been a tremendous labor getting all of the debris and everything out of that building from it sitting, for the last several years vacant and dilapidating. Nobody's lifted a finger to do anything there until we moved in. It's been a tremendous project. So what I'm asking for is time. I'm not saying let's ignore it and let's just, play games. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying let's be realistic. I was not properly noticed according to law, right? I was sent a certified letter that says you have a meeting coming up in less than a week, but I was not properly noticed about these dangerous conditions where I had time to properly defend myself on it. Because like I said, this isn't a problem that I created. This isn't something that my neglect has caused these problems. we're the only one doing anything to fix the problems. And I'm asking for a little bit of time to get these things taken care of, because that's what it takes is time. I can't control engineers. I
Right,
can't tell people not to take vacations. I can't tell people that they have to have family time. I can't, there's nothing I can do about that. But I'm working every single day to make sure that this thing is getting fixed, and the building is doing me no good in the condition that it's in. It has to be fixed and repaired in order to make us income, and that's the goal for everybody.
right, and, you know, we're not asking for it to be, you know, changed overnight or fixed overnight. All we've asked is for an engineering report. We gave a 45-day window, that had come and gone. But we were told that you were working with an engineer, so we gave another 2 weeks for today's meeting.
Yep.
Obviously, it's kind of up to the council whether we, you know, would like to give you more time on that. We're not asking for all the fixes to be done, but we would like a report saying like whether it's dangerous, not dangerous, what's dangerous about it that needs to be fixed immediately, and then what can be done, you know, at a leisurely pace.
Sure, but understanding that we
So
had
obviously,
3
if
floors.
you had bricks falling off the building onto other buildings, there's a
Absolutely.
sidewalk there, there's public safety. That's clearly something we needed to address,
100%.
and nothing happens overnight. We started this process, what, 8 months ago now, back in October of last year, when you didn't own it, so it has nothing to do with who owns it. It's just a lengthy process, and that's what we're addressing now, so.
All I'm asking is for the process to start over with me, right? We've gone up and
Well,
the bricks have been taken off the roof. The debris has been taken off the roof. We've done what we can to mitigate any further water damage inside of the building. We're taking, you know, we've taken
Yeah.
10 or 12 truckloads full of debris out of that building, dozens and dozens of offices that had to be completely dismantled and hauled out of the building. That is not something that happens overnight. We've
Right,
actually
but
moved very quickly.
That was the case last time that you were here, and we all agreed that you would get a engineering's report of the status of the building. So nothing has changed. You know, all the stuff that you've taken out of it, that's fantastic and it's good to see, but nothing has changed between whatever it was, March 8th or March 15th and today. So we still want the report. We're still
Sure.
requesting that report.
Sure. And like I said, they're back now, and
nothing's starting over at this point because we haven't gotten anywhere. So, you know, the request.
Talking about the dangerous conditions, the statute for the dangerous conditions, it requires that when new ownership takes over, that the dangerous conditions process start over again.
Well,
and like you said, you had started the process last year with a prior.
But I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not gonna get into that. You know, that can be something that Jack, and the code enforcement and the lawyers can discuss with you. I don't think the council's here to debate law by any means, so we appreciate, you know, your input and appreciate that you are trying to get engineering to come take a look. I know, yeah, engineers are busy, so that's understandable.
But I've got an active commitment that they're coming. Like I said, I did not know that they were going to take the majority of April off. I would have thought that they would have been there in April and we would have had this addressed. But like I said, I can't control them. We've got a commitment from them. They're coming to do it. They know what they needed to do. The code enforcement has sent them a list of things that they need on the report. And they said, yes, we can handle that.
Right. I mean, I guess the key is active communication between yourself and the town and just relaying that. If there's hurdles that are happening, I think everybody's understanding of that. It just needs to be an open communication. And you can contact any counselor, obviously Jack and the code enforcement are your first places to go. And then, you know, if you're not getting anywhere, then contact a counselor and we can go from there, but.
Okay. I don't have any information as far as contact on any of the counselors, but I do have Jack's information now. He actually replied to my email the other day. So I have access to him and I can discuss things with him because I think that we're getting into a little bit of a rut with the code enforcement side of things. I've been waiting weeks, you know, over a week for a reply on emails.
Yeah, and that can be a private conversation with you and Jack and we can go from there.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
all counselor information is on the town website as well, so
Okay.
if you need to discuss something with counselors, that's an avenue that you can take, but.
Yeah, Jack was very responsive. I had emailed Russell multiple times. I'd waited over a week for responses and Jack replied very quickly. So I'll deal with Jack now.
Yeah, well, the code enforcement is extremely busy and,
I
you
get it.
know, not making excuses for anything, but, yeah, just deal with who you need to deal with and then we can go from there. But we can address this resolution. We appreciate your input and,
What's the time frame that he's asking for, Jay?
yeah, what, do you have a timeframe that you're requesting?
I don't know. I don't think it's gonna now that the building is open and they can actually get in there and see the rafters and do the things that they need to do. I would think that this report is not going to take them that long. They already did the preliminary kind of walkthrough, but they said all of this stuff has to be out of the way so we can actually get in here and assess this. And that's where we're at now. The building is empty.
Yeah.
We've gotten all of the debris out of there. Now they can come back. I don't think it's going to take them long to, I don't know, because I'm not an engineer and I didn't specifically ask them, but I know he emailed me a couple of days ago and he said, we're ready to go in and do this finalization for the town. That's what he told me.
Okay.
So I would expect, yeah, I don't know when the next meeting is, but I would think in less than 30 days.
Our next,
Provided all that? Has he provided all that to us?
what's that?
The email communication and the confirmation that.
Yeah,
they're-
he's, as far as I know, David actually emailed back and forth with Russell because he said he had contacted him.
He only sent over that letter of intent that was in the monthly report.
Letter of intent to do the assessment. Or we have a letter of intent from them.
Okay, well, our next meeting is May 19th, which is 4 weeks from today. That's 3 weeks from today.
Yep.
Yeah, 3 weeks from today. I guess we can, I mean, that would be our goal is to have something prior to that meeting.
5/19
And, what's that?
on May 19th.
Yeah,
Is that your guys' goal? I don't wanna speak for the entire council.
I think that's a reasonable goal. I mean, if he's got the letter of intent, we've got somebody's feeling. But
Right,
at some point, we've gotta just say,
The letter of intent's from the engineer,
yep.
yeah,
so we have a commitment, but no date.
we're
I'll
asking-
email the engineer tonight and he'll probably answer me hopefully tomorrow or the next day. And I'll tell him that the 19th is really needs to be the deadline. Can he meet it? Because again, I don't understand. I'm not an engineer, never have been, but I will
Sure.
email him and ask him to give me a specific timeline. Can this be done in 2 or 3 weeks? I'll ask him that. I would expect that it could be.
Do it. Well, that was kind of discussed at the last meeting, so just
right,
next step would be if he's not compliant by the 19th, then we basically take over that process.
which is no, yeah,
We basically take over that process. We send an engineer in, we send him the bill for that.
Yep.
The decision's kind of made at that point.
I do have a question
yeah, go ahead.
for him.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you bought this building, were you unaware of any of the internal doings or any of the current standings of the inside? When you were talking earlier, you made it sound like you didn't know anything about any conditions inside the building, and I just wanted to
course.
clarify my own peace of mind. When you purchased the building, was it kind of sight unseen, or
No,
did you actually walk through the building and do an assessment based on professionalism so that you knew what you were up against?
yeah, we absolutely walked through the building and we knew that it was dilapidated. And that's why, the people that had the building prior didn't want to put a penny into it. So we bought it right. And we're going to invest in it heavily. And then it's going to be a cash flowing asset for us. But, I've been in business 27 years and I've never had a city go after dangerous conditions on buildings that are dilapidated that we go in to clean up. I've never had that happen. And so I was kind of blindsided by the fact that we got this certified letter from a lawyer we'd never heard anything from. We never received any notices. And all of a sudden we get a letter that says you're required to be at a meeting in 7 or 8, 10 days, whatever it was. And I'm like, this doesn't even make any sense to me. How is this even like, we're barely even starting the cleanup process on this thing. And we're getting called into meetings about this being a dangerous building. And I'm thinking, why wasn't this an issue over the last 3 years? But now we're in here, all of a sudden we got to get ramrodded into this thing. I'm just asking for time to be able to, accomplish the things that take most people years, and we'll get it done in 6 or 8 months. But there's human limitations. It just is what it is. It is not an unlimited budget. It is not unlimited resources. We don't have 50 people lined up trying to work. I mean, I think you understand the situation in the world right now. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to come in. Everybody does everything on their own time. And we're moving as quickly as we can, but we do not control everybody. We're doing the best we can with what we got. And it's The building was in poor condition. I get it. And we're fixing that. And we're going to make it into a nice building, and it's going to be a showcase after it's done. It's just not going to happen overnight. And that's all I'm asking for is time.
Is that good, Mike?
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Obviously, like you said, everything takes time, nothing happens overnight. When did you start the purchase process on the building?
I don't remember the exact time frame. It was sometime probably early January.
All right, I mean, I think the May 19th would be the goal, and obviously if we don't get that report from the engineer at that point, then we can reassess this. I know on the 231 Somerset Ave, I think we have an engineer coming in to assess that on the town's behalf, and then, so we could maybe go down that route if that's something that, if we haven't got a report by the 19th, but we can address that at the meeting on the 19th, and hopefully we'll have a report and something to move forward with. I think that's a fairly reasonable ask. I would assume you're good with that?
Yes. Yep. And like
Okay.
I said, I'll email them tonight and I'll ask them for a hard deadline if they can, so we know what we're dealing with, but I would expect that it could be done by then.
Okay. So that was 135 Main Street, 231 Somerset Ave. Did we end up getting?
That's still in the works to get our engineer to go up and look at that. I don't know if Russell, you've been able to.
I haven't locked down a date yet with key viewings with Plymouth Engineering yet.
Okay.
That is in the works, and we'll try to coordinate.
Yep. All right. So that's in the works anyway.
Can we try to wrap that up by the 19th as well? Roll everything up in one little package? Think that's what
We should be able to get Keith in there and,
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess those are our two actions that we'll proceed with.
So would we just table this? Make a motion to amend the motion to table?
Yeah, we're not doing,
Cause we're not really taking any action. Well, we are on.
well, yeah, we are,
One, yeah, we have.
The action.
well, and we are on,
Basically, yeah, you're actually.
and we're setting a new deadline for 135.
So I have to amend the motion.
I mean, it just says that we are taking further action, and that is our
Okay.
further action, so
Okay,
I don't think you have to amend anything.
so we don't have to stipulate it anywhere?
I think
Nicole will
it's,
have it in the minutes.
In
We'll have it in a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
yeah, so are there any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none. Anything else from the council? Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2627, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2627 passes. We will move on to item number 10, discussion items. Are there any comments from the audience tonight? There are none. Pete, any comments? Great,
Save them all for later.
excellent. Mike, I'm good. You're good, and I'm good. Since tonight we have a budget meeting and plenty to get through. Yeah, I think I'm all set. So we will move on to item number 11, which is the budget meeting. Yeah, let's see here. Hold on a minute. It takes 2 minutes to get organized here. We want to jump to water and sewer. I think that'll be the least discussion and maybe the quickest to get them out of here. Potentially. No guarantees. If you guys are all right with that. Are you good with that? You guys good with that? Yeah. All right, let's go to the water and sewer department. That is page one and one.
We're hiding, but there are people over here.
All right, water department expense and revenue. Guess I would pick it up for two questions, and it's in both, it's in the water and sewer department, and it's $9,985 for employee benefits. Is that
Yeah, so,
for,
yeah, so we have we have an employee that, was charged, gets split between water and sewer.
right,
And we've always budgeted wages, but we didn't budget the overhead for that employee. So this year I'm showing that split, into both budgets. So that's, something that just didn't appear before that,
so the wages
So that
comes
that
with that,
removed out of the general government.
that is,
You can see the reduction in the benefits in the general government for that.
yes,
it's all paid for out of, the general government. But what this line will do is it will reimburse that.
So you see that the rev, okay,
oh, it's an expense that,
just that north, just loud.
yeah, okay, so it's an expense to
I don't think we pissed it.
the year,
It's an expense, it's an expense to water and sewer that reimburses the
and
town.
it's a revenue for the town, someone. That's it,
So
okay.
it's correct.
Yeah, it was just, I had never seen anything, and then I saw 10 grand on each line, it's gotta be something, but anyway. All right,
So that would either show up in the revenue line or in the,
I have to go back and look, I think I just netted it out,
Yeah.
I netted it out, so. When I gave us the total on the general government side, I put that out because we we're gonna get money for that, that didn't have to be part of what we raised.
okay,
So, what you see on the town side is a net number, and it nets out this because we're gonna get this, reimbursed and so it doesn't actually show up as a revenue, it's just, we're not raising the full amount for benefits because we're getting this amount from water and sewer. And then the rest comes to, then.
yeah, but you,
So the numbers that you see in the other, than the employee benefits.
Yep.
Does not include these numbers here. So if you, to get the real number, you'd have to add these two lines here plus that. So I'm only budgeting in the general government, that share, and then this is the water sewer share. So it's not doubled up.
so, okay, so basically you're saying that the increase in the benefits. In this would have been 19,000 more on top of what
Yes.
this is, okay,
Yes.
just making sure I track,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
I had a question on maintenance. We had budgeted 31.5, this is on page 2 of the expense for the water. We had budgeted 31.5, we've only spent 82.50. And then next year we're increasing to 35.5. And we've never had a year of more than 25,000.
So that maintenance line is a subtotal, so if you go to all those lines above it, you can see where, each one is either light or heavy.
Right,
So
I mean, I'm just going down to but if you just look at the overall,
Right, we have a.
it's way
check valve.
low.
Right, we have a check valve at the well that we keep plugging in a number and we haven't been able to get that done due to various reasons with water supply. It's gonna take some finagling to get it done, but we need to. So we kind of, this year we brought that up to 10 grand because the prices of everything have gone up, so kind of. Have not gotten done, again, every single thing we want, also dealing with all the construction projects. We also budgeting for, gearing up for more, curb stop repairs and that type of thing when we're doing water, shutoffs and all of that, which, costs quite a bit of money for parts. And labor, so that was one of the other reasons, why the number was higher. And we have been doing quite a bit of
building. Know if you guys have been over to the building over there and seen the amazing job they've done in the shop. It's pretty spectacular improvement and professional, operating quarters over there. So some of those are just kind of some of the things. The vehicles held up, but it would be kind of dumb not to, with the couple vehicles, not to plan at least $1,500 for maintenance. So I think that's just, it's better to plan, and if we don't spend, there certainly hasn't been an excess. But, does that make sense?
We had, and Huey also went out of his way to say, that these printouts, they first came out at the beginning of April, so there's some things that have happened since then. And Huey said that there's some bills that are kind of in transit right now, so these numbers are gonna look more true to form as far as what we budgeted this year and what we're gonna spend.
Okay.
I guess that would be the question I have. So if we budgeted for these projects in 26. And they're not going to be completed in 26 because of whatever complication.
And why would you budget for it
Well,
again?
we're budgeting for it now, but that means that,
Right.
that means that your reserve account appropriation is gonna be different, right?
It would put, like, any excess money has to go to the water department reserve, and it sure can't hurt.
Right.
Because there's a lot that has to be done that hasn't been done, so it's not a bad thing.
No, I understand. I'm just looking at it, cause obviously we have numbers that are 2026 final. Right, for our, I've gone over to our capital reserves account, because I gotta assume that's where you were gonna, how we were doing that. What's your anticipation of increase to the reserve account?
Well,
On top of it, I see that we're budgeting some, but what do you think's gonna drop in there just naturally because we haven't completed the project?
for this year,
Yeah, for the,
I mean, you might. I'd have to look at the revenue to date a little bit here, but I'd say at least 20 grand probably, something like that. And we
okay,
also have projects that we're planning for, that are happening, so if we have extra money, we can use some of that money to do those projects that we're doing with the DOT as well. I know that there's money being put aside for that, but
sure,
Okay.
I can also speak to the fact that Huey and the guys have just been on a dead run for the last month and a half with just an absolute string of really bad luck. It feels like every week or every other week, there's been a main that's,
we've had a lot of leaks.
leak, and they're going right out and they're fixing them. And Huey had his kid's baseball game tonight, and we're like, we got this. He was gonna be here, but we told him to take that come off, because he was late last night at library. So just, I mean, we have things that we really like to get done, but maybe they don't get spent, and they get spent on, an emergency repair or for. Like, what else, like that, that's something else. So like, we will really have a much better idea, like kind of the last couple of weeks of June, of kind of what we're gonna be able to hopefully squirrel away.
so, and I guess my kind of thought on this, right, if we have specific projects that we are budgeting for, right? Maybe looking at this, because I understand that bad luck, it's contagious, more contagious than the influenza this year.
Hopefully I'm not spreading any here.
No, trust me, I think we've all had a little case of it, I get it, so it's kind of, we understand that part, but like, maybe we just get that right to the front of the calendar, right? Like if we're gonna do this, if the check valve's gonna be put in, it's been done a couple of years and we haven't been able to make it, maybe that's like third week of July kind of project, right? That gets in, hey, budget's done, let's get that on the books and let's knock that out so that we can say, hey, we haven't carried this forward yet another year. Right, that's all I'm kind of thinking, especially if we have some of this stuff. It's good, I wanna see it get done. I have no problem funding it, I think that's great.
One of the ones that's challenging to do due to water demand and that type of thing, so we have to kind of, probably not the best one to put to the forefront, but I get your example and I agree. There's many other things we can put to the forefront, and I think this year is just a heavy construction year.
Yeah.
Even though we have contractors doing the work, it involves the water department, hugely, because they have to shut off the valves, then things don't go well, like today, for instance. We were supposed to have a shutdown on library that did not happen because of various reasons with valves that we're replacing in this project that don't work very well. So the shutdown's tomorrow, we've notified people at how to move, but I'm just saying, it sucks up their whole day. And then we have working with some of the development that's going on in the community that sucked up probably a week of Huey's time, working with the development that you were talking about earlier, trying to help them, figure out where's the best place to tie in for water and sewer, and trying to be really proactive on those projects, because we know it's important for the town, so. We are behind, as usual, on the projects.
Well,
No,
But we're trying to keep the budget at a professional level where we can actually get something done.
Sure.
Stuff is super expensive.
but I mean, I
Not
think
crazy.
overall, I was looking at overall the budget, wasn't anything that scary, we just had a couple questions we were going through it, The increases that we had, didn't see historical.
Yeah.
Historical basis for, so.
And one thing too that Jack came up with, which I think is a great idea, a reserve line for utility coordination. I didn't know if you were gonna explain that, or you already had.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference.
I'm sorry.
I think the biggest difference between, last year and this year is that we learned kind of the hard way all, in the last 12 months, that when DOT comes in and does a job, good chance we're gonna have something that's in the way that needs to be moved or needs to be adjusted at least. And even if it's paving a road and we have to adjust the manholes, that's more expensive than you might think, because we're trying to coordinate with their work. So we know this thing's gonna come and go, and the North Main Street job ended up being $180,000 worth of utility coordination, which we were able to use reserve funds for, that we had set aside. And the other one, the large culvert replacements, that's little over 50,000 of coordination with water. And so the idea is if we put something away every year there won't be utility coordination, but that builds up, so we get a year where we might have 80, money will be already there, and we're not gonna be scrambling or trying to do a bigger increase in that annual budget. We just bake it in, and it doesn't really hit the budget the same way.
Okay.
The only other question I had, and this has probably been a sore subject already, it's probably be even more sore by the time it's over, but. Equipment rental. Last year, we talked about that in depth. And basically on the water side, 0 increase. Looking at $3,000 for equipment rental. And I think sewer was the exact same. So is that enough to do all the, I mean, $3,000 probably got eaten up on the one project in Madawaska that you did right there, the break that happened.
I think it's under contracts and rentals, I think, that we've got like 10,500 under.
I don't know, water side.
I'm looking at the
And
water
on
for
the
now.
sewer side, you got 40.
That's
that right?
That's definitely. Yes.
Lost here.
On the sewer side, not page one,
Send
It's right here.
page one on the sewer side.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same that we had last year.
Yeah, cause that's the roll up of the equipment purchase, right? Oh, no, that's a single line item.
Yeah, that's a single item.
It's 10.5 there. Water.
The last. Okay, there's more into the sewer one, than on the water. There's more items that are
Yeah.
in that. That we use that for. The water has multi categories, so that it's split out more. But you're getting to the payment of the use of, like the backhoe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Isn't that also cameras?
Yeah, the
There's a
sewer
lot
side
of that
has
thing.
camera cleaning,
Yeah.
different things in that mix. Than the
But they-
water side.
You have
But
40,
we spent, and I honestly, to be quite frank with you, don't know who did all the digs on every single thing that we had, if it was Public Works or not, or even if all those invoices came to our budget. You might know, but I don't know the answer to that question.
I know that
Yeah.
everything that we could coordinate with Public Works, we coordinated with Public Works. And there was, I believe, I'm aware of two. And that doesn't mean there wasn't more, but where we contacted, Public Works is always our first phone call. And then, if Public Works has, the manpower to do it and the equipment, then we go through Public Works. But if Public Works tells us they, you know, sometimes they were, I believe one of them, it was a snowstorm and they were plowing snow and they just didn't have the guys for it, right? So, I believe that we brought a contractor in for that particular job. So
Okay.
that also happens within that, but we have changed and when we do use Public Works for the equipment and where it makes sense for the material.
Okay.
As long as the,
How are we building that out?
Yeah.
Do we have a rate that we're using, or we using
Yeah,
like 500 a day, $1,000 a day man machine kind of thing?
I think it's a little bit more broken down to that. I think it just kind of going by a market rate for what they would have had to pay
Okay,
is what we would bill.
basically just keeping an eye on providers we've had in the past.
any other questions for water and sewer?
I will just mention, just for your information, that the new loans aren't yet into this budget, because they didn't hit it. But we did talk, you know, this isn't the meeting for rates and stuff like that, I understand, but we would want to work towards talking about that at some future meeting. To authorize us to kind of focus on a January 1, 2027 increase for water and sewer. And with the water side, if you do want me to help with that, it's a PUC process, and I would want to get going. No, I would want to be authorized to go on it sometime by June, because it takes a while.
And I think the last rate increase, I think it was talked about to, you know, not wait too long before the next one. We know that, I think in the next budget that we do, not this one, the next one will have repayment of some of the debt on
Yes.
on this. And
Right.
so we'll need rates to support that.
So you'll have to have the rate increase hit half this budget.
It would hit half the budget, but
Which
did
is-
the math and we
is
kind of
reflected.
thought
Which is reflected.
Okay,
it's
in the
reflected
revenues.
in the revenue side. Yeah,
Okay.
Jack and I worked on that before the budget. and
Yeah.
it would work out pretty well, actually. And it actually kind of matched up. We didn't talk about it at the time, but it matched up to our hopes to do it in 2 phases for our loans. And it kind of hit pretty close to the numbers that we were hoping to get to if we did a phased approach. So I think it's pretty reasonable.
okay.
I have. On the sewer side. Expense $496, $495. Revenue $465, $965. So we're falling about 30,000 short
Right,
on revenue.
right.
Okay.
So the sewer side, when we did the increase, we didn't increase the rate per se, but we put in place a minimum. And at that time, I mentioned that that wouldn't be enough for our budget. But it was such a change for the people who didn't have a minimum that we were hesitant to do everything all at once. So what we would probably look at doing for January is approximately a 20% increase, which isn't horrible. That would give us the revenue that's projected on these budget sheets. Halfway, you know, wouldn't have to be due for the whole year, it would be effective January 1.
So the 20%, still,
So even with the 20%, we fall to 30 short.
No, but
No, it would be, as far as this budget goes, all
We would be
of
good.
those projections play out now. What that rate increase actually generates, it all depends on consumption, right? So if people are using more, if there's more, consumption in the system,
Sure.
we benefit. And I think they try to be conservative in terms of how much consumption they're projecting out, but
yeah, and I wanted to make mention too that our actual revenue that we got is higher than my projected by about $23,000.
Okay,
So this, I expect my projections to be that much lower this time, because I used the same methodology and the same basis year, so I think we're gonna be okay.
okay,
I think it's better to go slow. And when it hits full year, it'll be enough. So like it's like prorated between not raised and raised for the 6 months. And then when it's for a full year, it'll be over the amount of our expenses.
sure, I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's gonna be enough change this year. What everybody's experiencing, obviously, we just did the revow and stuff, so we got all of this, right, it's all happening, so
Lots of stuff.
delaying that a little bit is a good thing.
And softening it,
Yeah,
not making
I like that.
it horribly aggressive. 20%'s not huge and aggressive when you start to get, I know it, well, I've done
Still
35%.
20%.
Yeah, I understand, but it's a pretty small rate, the 35% ones start sounding worse.
No,
Yeah,
I got you, I mean, obviously, we have enough in the reserve accounts that if any shortfall will be taken care of, which I understand, but I just.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that that was a plan,
It's a good
not
question.
not a plan, it was a
No,
plan shortfall, right?
No, yep,
all right. Are there any other questions for water and sewer? I think we're good, I guess. That's good. Good, yeah, thumbs up. We're all set.
no, that's great.
We're good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for letting us go first, I don't tell everybody else go. Okay, I'll do that.
Let's see.
I think we have like.
Start top down, I guess. Yeah. Fire department, another one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yep, drive safe, have a good one. Thank you. We'll start at the top down, I guess. Fire department is on the top.
Page 22.
Page 22. Well, let's see. Street lights, Fairwell Street lights. All right.
You're out loud, there,
Huh?
so that was your out loud voice.
Yeah. Those are numbers. Bernard, I was looking at the part-time wages, that increased 7,000. Was there a reason
Well,
those
one of the reasons it went up that much is because there used to be a separate line for my
Oh,
stipend of $1,250 for the year, which is now up in that.
oh, your wages and.
Well, I get
Stipend.
a $1,250 stipend for being chief,
Mhm.
and that is now up in that,
Okay,
that $7,000.
so that's,
Because that line item is gone, it's not there anymore.
okay. So would you say
So,
1250? And then I assume they got the 3% raise that everybody got, so,
and we've also been fortunate, we picked up 3 or 4 new members.
okay,
recently. And so we're getting more people coming to calls, which is a good thing.
right. Okay, so, cause I was doing out because the 3% is not, if you look at this year, plus 3%, it's only like another $1,200 So that's not, nothing, well, not nothing, but not much.
We spent a little better than half at our first payroll. And this one is gonna be probably bigger. We probably will overexpend that line.
The 33,000,
Yeah, because
Okay.
we've had 90 calls already this year,
okay. So
so.
how does this, so this is only 6 months? Do you
The
do it?
2026 year to date is, the 17,000.
Yeah, okay.
They run 2 payrolls. They do.
We pay
They
us
do
2
2
payrolls
payrolls.
a year.
Okay, so that's basically the
We pay in
6 months.
the end of June and the end of December.
So So if you take 25 actual and 26 year to date and add them together. that could be-
right. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, yeah,
So,
a little slow on that.
so 35,
Okay, all right, now I got you,
I see what
I
you're
got you. That makes sense.
so 36. 3% 1238.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
How about supplies line?
down on the PPE 1070, I was looking at that. Yeah, you've only spent $12 on PPE this year, for not. That can't be right.
No, well, we got gear coming in, and the order gear now takes you anywhere between 6 and 9 months to get the damn stuff
Okay,
for PPE, and it went up $1,100 in the last 2 months.
okay,
What we used to buy, what we bought a year and a half ago for around $2,200, oh, now it's $3,500. That's turn out, that doesn't include boots and helmets, that's just the
That's turnout
pants and the coat.
well, and you're getting new members,
Right,
so
and of course,
they
you
don't
gotta
have
have
any
the
of
stuff,
that,
you got enough fit people that come in, you know?
naturally.
You got stuff that fit you, that the guy comes in that's this big, that don't do him much good.
Well, don't hire him, you gotta get the fat guy to get in.
Everybody wore 10 boots for 2, 3, or 4 years.
Yeah,
Now, nobody, they either want 12 or 8.
so a lot of these discrepancies are just a lag in the system,
Right.
Jack, probably. I
Yeah,
assume.
stuff that
It's just
Vernon
not-
ordered that, you know, we haven't been billed.
Billed
yet,
for and-
hasn't been
okay.
yet.
So I guess you really just look at the. I don't know, bottom line. Increase to 10,300, and that's because of. Added people and
Added people and. you
Stuff.
buy New
new
gear,
gear,
you have to buy new gear, even if you don't add people sometimes, you know. Our helmets were all over 20 years old, which.
right, yeah,
Supposed to be out of service
right,
10 years, so.
yeah, definitely up. You do for the upgrade, you gotta get it done. Those are all my questions, really. It was just this trio stuff,
Mhm.
not being up to date, not anybody's fault. No, what's the reimbursement? Negative $7,100? The hell is that?
Where are we looking?
That's on page 23, midway down. But then make-
I think that was FEMA money.
No, there was no, we stood by at a hazmat spill on the interstate, and that
Oh.
billed the insurance company, and that's what we got back from them.
Okay.
Oh, I see. So should that be moved to a revenue, or is that how that works?
Well,
I guess.
you know, if there was an example where there was some incident that, you know, we had a big expense out of the O and M, that, and we got reimbursed for it, we just negated in the O and M. I mean, it could be either way.
Yeah, okay,
I
Um,
got you.
yes,
this
no,
gives a,
I was just asked, I saw negative, I was like, well, how's that
I
work?
saw that first time. I
That's like, damn, Bernard, that's good, keep doing that.
Whatever you're doing, do it again.
Yeah, out of that 80,000 budget, down Pittsfield only pays 60,
Oh,
if we get 20,000 from the down Delmar.
oh, okay. And then that is the.
that's in revenue, yeah, so
That makes
the fire protection services that we provide for Palmyra are in the revenue budget.
Right. Okay. You guys have,
Why did we not collect anything from them in 25?
good question,
From them, yeah, zero actual revenue.
where you see that, page one?
Page
Oh, I
three,
think
revenue.
because I think they paid us, I think they paid us in this year for 25, so they weren't, like, we didn't bill them for the 6-month period, which was a 6-month budget.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what happened there.
We
They don't
have,
do the bill.
oh, I see,
Oh, gotcha. I just wonder, nothing in 23, nothing in 25. I mean, I know you can't speak to 23, Jack, that's not what I'm asking, but.
Yeah, because I remember it was, right at the end of the calendar year, like December, or even maybe January, we got the check from Palmyra, and they were paying for 25. But it's booked in 26 for us,
Gotcha.
and we didn't send them a 6-month bill. That's why.
Gotcha.
So
So
that's probably why you're seeing look at 24 actuals. It's 25.4. It should really only be probably like 12.5 or
maybe,
12, you know
maybe
what I
that
mean?
was 2 years.
You almost got 2 years where. Cause they haven't paid. Like the year to date, 26 is really 25.
Gotcha.
So if you got. Now, if you get 26, that's gonna be, you don't see that.
So I'm dropping 27.
So that's why you see 0 and 23, but double in 24.
That's why it's up to 20 and 27 is because we're gonna get the 6-month plus the
Yeah.
full.
So this 12,510 that we got in 26,
Yep,
It's 25.
it's 25.
it's partially 25, it should have been like 6,000, 255, right? In the first 6 months. And then we could have booked the other half of that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Net in's net in, right? I mean, it doesn't.
Right,
matter.
right.
I just wanted
Okay.
to make sure we had,
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? For the fire department? Think we're good, appreciate you guys. Oh, was there any capital? There was no capital.
There's no additional capital being proposed, for the fire department this year, it's, maybe you just wanna speak to the state of your capital, I know that, Vernon and I have talked and, we did take a pumper out of service in 2023. The 86 that, we've actually tried to bid twice. And, it's kind of on our radar screen.
Look at that, because he wants the motor out of it for his pulp truck.
There is somebody who might get a bidder next time.
Well, he's gonna come take a look at it, give us a bid.
golf course is single line.
But I
Yeah.
guess as far as,
Put them in golf course.
We're great.
Right, they do.
He's looking for the motor to put in his pulp truck, that 32 weeks is good.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
but right now, your oldest pumper, what year is that? Can you tell us?
30.
It's an 03. So
you know,
is there a life expectancy on that?
Depends on whose standard you wanna follow. If you follow NFPA, they say at 20 years, it has to go into a reserve. It can no longer be a frontline pumper. State of Maine hasn't pushed that at this point, but there's a whole bunch of talk. If that will come into being, so if that's the case, we only have one frontline pumper, this engine one is a 17. So, I mean, right now, like all this stuff that out there with all this electronics in it, we're having electronic problems with it. And they're not inexpensive to fix.
Hmm.
We had to replace one of the lights in the front of it. $389 plus shipping for the damn light.
yeah,
I replaced it with something else for $200.
What,
So, again, we don't pound these trucks this way the cities do, but sitting is not a friend to them either.
no,
no,
It's not good for seals, it's not good for bearings. Not good for anything, that's why we try to take them out and run them.
I guess there is a pot, your fire equipment reserve. That's at 104,000. That's a plus.
what,
It's not gonna buy a new pumper, but. It'll put a dent in it, at least.
this is on my chart, but whatever became of the, project, there was a grant. $75,000 something grant for the exhaust mitigation.
We got it.
Is that all
Been
done?
all done, paid off.
Okay, I didn't.
We got the grant and we got it up and running, I think, all of this fiscal years, like June, I think the electrician came in and.
Yeah, the holdup was when they first looked at it. there was supposedly 3-phase available at the electrical panel. When we got ready to hook into it, sorry about that. So we had to
Redo.
order parts. Parts came, they weren't the right ones.
Gotcha.
And then it took another 3 or 4 months to get the next set of parts and it went on for months before we could get somebody in here to get the thing hooked up.
Okay, I guess I just missed the report where it said.
And then the paperwork is closed out on
Okay,
Good, awesome.
Yeah.
Working well? You're not smelling it upstairs anymore?
No.
Good.
all right. Anything else? We're all set, fellas. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to the police department. Page 19. Page 19, let's see. Well. I see a negative, so that's good. The
Yeah, so
third training,
some of the things that are different this year than last year is we ended up filling the SRO position the current year with just part-time hours.
Right.
And we had enough in the budget in the current year to have a full-time person in that position, but we didn't end up filling that full-time position and basically used the part-timers on a rotation to cover those shifts, which has saved us significantly and has allowed us to basically reduce the wage lines there and as far as overtime goes, we've cut back on that based on, you know, what we're seeing and the ability for chiefs been able to cover a lot of shifts, which, you know, saves on overtime and we don't necessarily expect we'll send somebody to the academy. It doesn't mean we wouldn't end up doing it, but we cut back on the number of hours we would have budgeted for overtime. If we were gonna send somebody to the academy, basically, I think it's about 18 weeks to send someone to the academy, and I've got 10 weeks worth of overtime in the case that we would have to, which means we'd have to eat the other 8 weeks, and it was just part-timers and finding other ways to fill the shift, so I think that puts us in a position to you know, save on the overtime or at least, you know, deal with it if we do have to send somebody to the academy. And then we just kind of went down through and looked at what else there might be to push down based on what we got
the training, you're at like 12,600, but you've only spent 3,000 so far.
Yes,
Is that,
yeah, we anticipated paying $3,500 to the academy when you send somebody. Again, then you also have training rounds, you gotta send 1,500 rounds with that person to the academy. So those are all things we're kind of planning for that, as well as our range masters. They got a course coming up where I gotta buy a bunch of ammo for them to be recertified for the instructions that are coming.
so that's why your ammo budget is, well, it's the same as 2026,
That was,
but we've only spent like $1,150.
I was able to get some money from some of the local Martins.
Okay,
This last go around, I was happened to be there and saw the Martin sale.
yeah,
So we quickly made an account and bought some low budget ammo just for training ammo.
sure. The I mean, but the training conferences has never been over $8,500. Do you like, are you anticipating more training? Or more people going to them, I guess?
I mean, now
Did
we
you have a
have,
full?
yeah, now we have a full staff, which we haven't had
Mhm.
for, you know, really
since I've been here.
Mhm.
The first time we were full complement, we've always had, one position open, we're able to fill those. So yeah, I anticipate sending everybody to training, because as you guys know or should know, that one of the biggest lawsuits that we'll deal with is failure to train.
Mhm. Okay. Then, yeah, so. Alright. Yeah, the ammo, mace, drug testing kits, batteries, fingerprinting, office supplies. Have we just not really bought much? I mean, I know you said you got a deal for some ammo, but.
Yeah, I haven't had to buy, I was talking to Jack about that, I have a pretty good, supply of ammo right now, cause I bought it at a cheaper rate. So I hadn't had to buy any, I had to buy some, in fact, we still have some that we gotta go pick up here soon for these, cause we do a spring and a fall range. As well as the
Yeah.
instructors have to go qualify in a different training where they have to have a certain amount, 1,500 rounds for them.
Well, just looking like historically, the highest we've ever spent was 5,300 in the this year and next year's over $8,000. I'm just wondering if that's realistic or a little high, or. I mean, I'm not trying to nickel and dime it, but
No.
it's just a question, looking at the historical actuals and.
Well, yeah, historically, ammo's one of those tough things, sometimes you can get it.
Fluctuates like everything.
Right,
No, I know.
For $1.50 a round, depending on what's happening right now
Yeah.
across the world. Prices for AR and 9mm, they're gonna go through the roof again.
Yeah.
Like they always do.
Right. Okay,
I assume that's the majority of that number, so the other number is pretty small.
yeah,
Yeah, ammo's, yeah, I'm sure you shoot, so, some quick figures, you're talking about 2,600 just a ball. And $1,000 for duty rounds, cause you can't, in the fall, we shoot them. It's not recommended to keep them. For a year, especially because we're in the elements, they're not in a safe or something like that.
Mhm.
They're exposed to, rain, moisture, running and all that other stuff, so. In the fall, we have to use them up and recycle them. And in our CBA, we have to, provide, officers, that's a collective bargaining agreement, we have to, provide officers 2 boxes of rounds of ammo for, your rifle and your pistol, for them to practice with throughout the year.
Mm. I'll bring up, probably a sore subject, but it's an open conversation, so, and that's all it is, I just. Trying to get some not clarification, but. You run 24/7, right? So 168 hours a week. Is it crazy to think that we could operate with one less officer?
We're already operating with one less officer, with one in the schools, which leaves 4 open shifts a month already.
What are your shift lengths, 10 hours or 12?
10.
10,
Yeah.
okay.
So that leaves 4 shifts a month that we fill, whether it's part-timers, I come in, which I know I've seen you guys, working the weekends. So if you take another officer, well, you're talking, another week at least of having to fill.
Well, yeah, so the SRO is the 20 hours, so he still has to get another 20 with you guys, I assume. Is that how that works?
No,
He works-
there's 40 hours.
Yeah, he works 20 with the school.
No,
during the
he
school.
works 40 hours full, Monday through Friday this week. His schedule's a little different.
It's not like
He
during,
worked 8-hour days for that follow the school day. And then when school is out, he goes back for a regular rotation.
Oh, I see.
Like in the summer, he'll be back to the regular rotation, and those 4 days a month
get covered.
That'll be, you know,
Obviously, people.
And that gives us, again, that gives us $56,000 of revenue, from the schools. So I found a way to pay for almost a full officer.
Sure.
Without, you know, burden the taxpayers of
Right.
Pittsfield.
And obviously,
Straight out through all of that.
everybody needs time off and all that, so I understand that. I'm just,
So you basically have 3 shifts a day that you're running, because they have an hour overlap each end of their shift, right?
They have a couple hours.
Yeah, okay.
And that's if they need to go do some, or prearranged arrest that, or whatever.
Right, or you have
They could.
administrative work,
Right.
right, I get that, absolutely. No. Nickel and dime everything, we should.
what's that?
I said nickel and dime everything, but we should.
Just,
We should.
it's just questions, I mean, it's not.
I appreciate seeing the total budget coming in under, right? There's a decrease,
Yeah, decreases are
that's,
Well, I
Few
tried to
appreciate
cut
it.
just about every
few and far between.
category that I could. I mean, I kept vehicle maintenance the same, knowing that we're running some
Yeah.
older cars and, you know, I really don't wanna cut that. Gas prices went up, so you know,
Yeah.
that went up just a little bit, anticipating. You know, that's gonna happen as you're seeing it already.
Hmm.
But everything else, I was trying to, you know.
Yeah.
You know, be a good steward of, you know, the taxpayers and.
Sure, and we appreciate, I mean, it's not going unnoticed, it's just, you know, questions and
No, I get it.
trying to.
Everybody wants to save money. I
Understand.
do too. So I shop
Yeah.
at Martin's.
That's
you
right,
know, and-
yeah, can't knock Martins, so.
I have a random question on the vehicles, if I may.
Yeah.
So the cost of everything going up and the expenses on vehicle maintenance and all of those things, I noticed that we've transitioned towards pickup trucks, which to me is a huge flag, but that's just me personally. So I'm guessing with the roads that we have collectively, they get beat half to death, right?
Yes.
So what's the maintenance look like on those versus the cars? Cause I have both, so I know what my trucks go through and it's not pretty. So I'm just, I guess from an outsider looking in, I'm wondering what kind of a deal that made for us in terms of spending more money on maintenance, less money. They're not gonna last as long. They're not built for that.
Well, okay.
You know what I'm
Actually,
saying?
these are built for it because they're police packages. So, which means it's the springs and all these other things.
Yeah.
They're made for pursuit purposes.
Yeah.
So they are built to the same specs that the other cars are. And they're actually, for price difference, they're about the same. There really wasn't much, price difference of buying them. For maintenance, I really haven't run into more maintenance costs. I mean, Explorers traditionally, historically, have always had issues, you know, transmission
Yeah.
issues. I yet to run into that with the pickup trucks, and I've run pickup trucks before I even came here. You know, when I was in Augusta, first started buying them, great vehicles. Not only that, they basically, what you call it, like a force multiplier, because now you can throw stuff in the back, right? So whether, which I'm sure you've seen me throwing cones and barricades. So now I don't gotta call Public Works to come throw, which they're short staff already, you know, taxing, you know, that department, so we're able to do it ourselves.
We're all
Yeah,
fair,
right.
all fair.
Yeah, trying to save time, which equals money for some. So I find that huge benefit.
Yep.
I
I should have rephrased that a little bit, because I wasn't trying to pick on the truck, I was.
Yeah, no worries, no, I just.
When you think about a truck bouncing down the road versus a car, and I've had the Explorers, and I know the notorious transmissions, rear ends, brakes,
Oh, yeah.
all of the above. And you can't do one brake, you have to do all the brakes, so they're $3,500 a set, I totally get it. Which is also why I got rid of it, but I was just trying to understand the dynamic of the pickup truck, I assumed that they were police package trucks, I just didn't know what you were experiencing with maintenance. What to look forward to perhaps, and looking down the road.
And I'll tell you, like I said, for the pickup trucks, they've been less maintenance than the Explorers or the Crown Vics.
Yeah.
That I've been,
So far, so good,
so far, yeah.
okay.
And we're not proposing that we're gonna go 100% trucks, right? We've
No,
got
I
to do
mean,
it,
we do-
and
we
then
do
we're
buy,
gonna,
you know,
right.
whatever,
Yeah,
you know,
so
it
we're not
doesn't
painting out
matter to me.
No, I figured that, I
Yeah,
assumed there'd be
yeah.
some cars left over.
Right.
I was only curious because there's a couple trucks now, and I was thinking,
Yeah, it's good to have cars, you know, because they have the prisoner transports in the back, and, you know, I didn't wanna spend another $5,000 to outfit a truck.
Right.
With a prisoner transport, so we're still using that when we need to, so.
all fair. Thank you.
I heard somebody may have questions about Tango Tango. That's still, did anybody get that answered? No,
I didn't have questions.
oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Oh.
I see it's under contracts and rentals, $3
Right.
grand.
Yeah, just want to explain it in case anybody had a question on it, so.
Pique my interest now.
Tango Tango, all right, a couple years ago, I was tasked to find an alternative to communications when the ice storm happened.
Right.
So when the ice storm happened, the windstorm, ice storm we had, the power went out in the hours. So none of our radios worked, basically, there was like walkie-talkies back and forth. So it was one of the tasks that I was given by the town manager. So Tango Tango is a app that's basically, I can have as many phones that I want to have our radio frequency. So in the emergency, I can add your phone, I can add the mayor's phone, I can add, which I think Jack's phone's on there. But anyway, with the school administrators, their phones are on there already. So they can, have real-time communications with us. And not only that, if one of our officers is in one of these many dead zones in our town where there's no radio, communication. And that they could still get on their phone, access the app, call dispatch, call another officer or whatever.
Right.
So, and again, the fire department could use it, during a, major event or whatever. So that's what happens.
Excellent.
Do you? Just back to I get the resources and the hours that we operate, covering 24/7. Do you think that's? I don't know, it's hard to say necessary, like you don't know when criminal activity is gonna take place, to take place at any time, so I get. But is that appropriate for our town, the size of our town? And like what you would expect, like just in the nature of, I don't know, like. Does Clinton, or does other towns the size of us, in this demographic of what we have? Do they operate that way 24/7? Covering shifts, around the clock?
Just about every town I know does, with the exception of Clinton, because they only have 2 officers.
Yep.
And so they had to go to a hybrid schedule where I believe they leave at 8 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
Which a lot of bad stuff happens in Clinton. But, so yeah, I haven't really.
You wouldn't feel comfortable changing that in any which way?
Yeah, I don't live here, but if I was just someone that lived here, I would not, want to rely on.
I know.
A deputy coming from an hour away if somebody's breaking into your home.
It's one of those things like. If you wanna maybe cut where you can, and then it's like, well, yeah, but. When there's a criminal at your door at 2 AM. And there's nobody there, it's like, well, that's not,
I understand what you're saying.
so it's just like, I just wanna make sure that we are the right size for the community and we're. Being proactive in. Our policing, obviously, we're all on these rant and rave sites and you take those with a grain of salt, I understand that. But like, and I see you got some of the speed limit signs, additional ones, I think Washington Avenue or whatever, you got one recently, which is great, but it's like. That's kind of like not a Band-Aid, but it's a deterrent, but. Like, are we being proactive in, drug investigations, in, speeding. All over town, which, you see that, you take everything with a grain of salt, I understand that, but. We have seen recently some significant drug busts in our area, and I just wanna make sure, like, yeah, we're fully staffed, but. As long as we're like being proactive, like doing proactive policing and not so much reactive. I'm not saying that that's what we're doing, I'm just. Like, I hope that's what we're doing, right? Like.
That's a good question. I believe we are doing
Okay,
a lot
that-
of proactive.
You know, there's a lot of things that are obviously private to the police department and we don't see it and we don't understand it and all that, but. And it's nice when we do see those things, you know, you've given us information on that in the past, so. I just wanna make sure that. You know, we're doing a
No,
whole
it's a
thing,
good
you know,
question.
fully funded, you wanna see the results, you know, if you will, So, yeah, I mean, as long as we're the right size for the community and we're. Deterring as much criminal activity as possible, then
I mean,
I'm
you
good, but.
doubled my manpower and then I'll.
No, I know, I'm not saying that, I mean, I completely understand, I'm just,
For the month.
right, no, I mean.
I know this is recorded and I might get in trouble, but they did pull my wife over the other day, so they did good there. You know, it was a warning.
But, no, I'm just, I'm not picking on it, you know, you or anybody, it's just,
Yeah, and you mentioned.
and some of it is for people to hear, right? Like, we all wanna hear this stuff, and,
The
so,
radars, they're for the honest people. You know,
Yeah.
they really are. I mean, that's that guy driving down the road, not paying attention, all of a sudden they see they're going
Right.
35 and a 25. Oh, I'm gonna slow down. You know,
Yeah.
there's always gonna be those actors that decide that, you know, the rules don't apply to them.
Sure.
They're gonna do what they want to do.
yeah,
But like even that one we just put on Washington Street, you know, I can't even tell you how many positive comments we've got.
yeah,
You know, neighbors were clapping, just the idea that
right,
we're trying to do something. You know, to put an officer to sit on Washington Street, you know, all day, like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
right.
But you know, this traffic sign, you know, one I purchased with, you guys put in the budget for last year, and two I found in the garage, just sitting around. So I kind of put those together.
Yeah.
And, we got another one gonna be coming out soon.
Good,
So,
oh, it's good,
but,
No,
so talking about proactive, I mean, those are things I could have just
oh, yeah,
left sitting around.
no, that's
But,
great, and that's giving you feedback, right, and you're getting statistics,
Yes, the new one I put out, it comes with a first year free of data.
Mhm.
So I can do anything with that right now. And then after the year, I gotta figure out with our IT to get it Bluetooth, but yeah, it's
are the ones on Peltoma and Harlan Ave, are those
those.
giving you anything, or those just,
Purchased years ago.
I know they were,
No, they're not,
yeah,
they're just real time,
okay,
But they flashy,
but they flashy.
right,
I mean, like the one I bought was $5,000, it has camera on it, so it'll take a picture of somebody
license plate,
speeding, you know,
whatever.
at a certain speed that I can put in there.
Good.
You know.
in the ticket when it gets mailed out.
You can't do that yet.
So I have a question, not just because of this whole thing, it's been very controversial to me. So I get past going up Somerset Avenue, Main Street, Madawaska Road, Grove Hill. And I could probably come up with 4 or 5 other streets at least twice a week. Now, I understand that police can't be everywhere at the same time, and I understand that those moments of opportunity come up and all of these other things, and I get all that. But my concern comes in as tickets to warnings, like what happens, I get it, it's educating the public knows that the speed limit is 25. The people that are doing 50 know that they're doing 50. Trying to find that balance seems to be a difficult task.
It's always been a difficult task.
Yeah.
You know, law enforcement over the years, you know, tickets versus, you know, warnings, I mean, it's one of those things that the officer is gonna make the call at that moment.
Yeah.
And say, well, okay, this person, you know, had a bad day or whatever's going on, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I've done it both ways.
Yeah.
You know, early on in my career, I used to write tickets like there was no tomorrow. You know, you're going 10 over, you get a ticket, you know, that used to be my mindset on, that's what I needed to do, that was my job, just to write tickets. Cause that's what I see on TV. You know, but there was one event where I ticketed this lady, you know, I know we're getting late, but I'll tell a story. I ticketed this lady and, I parked this was when I was in Augusta, gave her a ticket, one road, the next morning, I parked on another road, she went that way, gave her another ticket. And finally, I just talked to her, like, hey, what are you doing? You know, what's going on? You know, and have that conversation with her.
Mhm.
And of course, she explains, you know, this whole thing and we just kind of problem solved. pretty quickly on the side of the road, hey, why don't you try this, oh, I didn't think of that, and they never saw her again. Yeah, so whether she went totally different route, I have no idea. Yeah, or it actually works, you know, that's the part of community policing.
Yeah.
You know, you know, when a hammer needs to be there, the hammer's gonna be there. You know, I don't always prefer to use a hammer. You know, I prefer, this is a small town, you know, I prefer to have those conversations, hey, let's problem solve this as opposed to. I'm gonna give you a $500 fine that you need to pay in 21 days. You know, that's tough to eat for a lot of people.
Sure.
You know, but yeah, some people need them.
Yeah.
Some people need that reminder.
Personally, I think the scales need to start tipping the other way myself, because I think that every day that goes on, the more and more they get away with it, the more they do it. I see it every day. My mother takes her life in her hands just walking to her mailbox as they go by at 65, 70 miles an hour. And that's not the speed limit. So I know they sit there from time to time and whatnot, but I just, personally, I think that there's an imbalance there for some reason, whatever that may be. I don't know, but I think.
They were to hang out by Burns Garage.
I can tell
The
you,
revenue
by
one.
sending in the tickets, there's a lot that go into.
Yeah.
I have a lot of tickets on my desk in the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
That's actually refreshing. That's good.
yeah, it is. And I kind of err on the side of you, like, I think we, you know, that there's a time and a place to be nice but at some point, like, when it's a epidemic around here and this seems to be, you know, trending in that way, or you hear it a lot more and see it a lot more, it's just one of those, okay, well, we were nice for a while, but now you're getting the hammer or whatever you might want to say.
But at the same
I
time,
know.
I
I
mean,
mean, you can have compassion for people and I get that, but it's something, when you're going 60 and a 30, it's like, okay, well.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
you're
I
just
can
insane.
tell you, nobody's gonna get it.
they don't get away with it.
No, I get, yeah.
They're gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
That's great news.
That is,
I just-
yeah. No,
I
it's
understand
just,
the dynamic of
Like that are kind of.
the dynamic
No,
of the
no.
general though, because you're doing a lot of public stuff and being involved with the public and doing the events and those sort of things and stuff. And I, as a community member, have looked forward to seeing those interactions because it means something. Like, this person cares, he's here, right? We see you at those events all the time, which is great. I appreciate that, truly. So I understand if you give somebody the hammer 7 days a week and then you show up and all of a sudden everybody's looking at you.
Well, no, listen.
I don't think that's your reasoning. I just,
different role.
yeah,
If, you know, when I stop people, they're probably gonna get a warning. You know, when the officers are gonna stop people, they're more likely to give a ticket.
yeah,
right,
So, again, I'm talking about my role.
Yeah.
Right, my role is
yeah,
totally different. You know, as opposed to my hammers, right?
Yep.
Well, thank you for what you are doing.
yeah, we do appreciate it, honestly. It's sketchy out there, so we appreciate everything you're doing.
The only item I had, I kind of have some heartburn on, and it's not in the expense budget. I think did very well with that. It is, honestly, it's in the capital.
Which did that change? Did you change this?
No.
I thought this could, I was looking at-
25, so basically,
No.
we're not looking to buy a cruiser.
I think you changed it, yeah. I think, oh, down right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking here. Oh, I see, sorry,
It's
yes.
the
yeah.
bold number down.
I see, yeah,
Third to the bottom.
Sorry, I read it wrong.
It's,
I thought it was up here at one point.
No, because we're not buying one this year.
Right.
Just the 25 would be to put it towards a purchase in the next fiscal year. So we know that next fiscal year that we're budgeting for, we'll need another cruiser. So the question would be is 25 this year, you know, whatever we need for next year, 25, 30, whatever it needs to be.
Versus the
Split it over
65.
2 years or try to finance, lease purchase or something, $60,000 purchase next year. You know, we can go either way.
Yeah, is that not,
Just looking at it.
that's not a bad thing to do, like,
No, it's almost like a capital expense, doing it as a 5-year loan. You almost do it more like a capital expense where you pay for it over the life of the vehicle.
or even a 3, like,
That's how.
as a town, you could go, you
Yeah,
could,
we actually kind of toss that up there.
you can do a 3-year loan.
Yeah, and we're talking short term, it's just, you know, there'll be an interest rate tied to the financing, whereas if we, you know, use our own money, there wouldn't be any.
right,
In the micro, that's not a bad number. In the macro with, you know, I'm looking at,
right,
got Public Works with $270,000 worth of requests in here, right? And
right,
that's just for the highway side. So when I start to look at everything in the macro, it starts to go, wait a minute. Can this be bumped to next year? Can we do it on a scale, right? Where we do it,
Yeah.
these purchases? I almost think I would prefer to see that. I've been a big proponent of a loan over hard purchase anyway, because it is like a capital expense. You get to pay for it over the life of the vehicle.
right,
Sheets and, you know.
and depending on interest
How's that
rates,
work for you?
sometimes it's not bad.
It doesn't matter to me, on how we do it, I mean, it's whatever you guys decide on.
Is there a set, like every 2 or 2, is that what we're doing right now?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
historically here, it's been, you know, 2 years, skip a year, and then continue again.
Right,
So this is gonna be our skip a year.
Yep.
So that's again why I inflated our maintenance budget just a little bit to make sure our cars are gonna make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, how we get the car, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah,
right,
It's just about making sure our staff has the equipment they need to do the job.
right.
no, we want
But
to.
this is, I mean, this is a good,
vehicle, press the accelerator, you want to go.
right, and this is a good idea in an ideal climate where we're not digging ourselves out of a
Yeah,
massive neglection hole.
Like I said, I'm
But,
happy to do with whatever.
yeah, cause you,
guys,
yeah,
know,
as long as you get the vehicle next year, you don't
I don't
necessarily
care how-
care. Yeah.
alright, so I mean, in my mind, that would just be, for this year, we just cross that line. Yeah, I would
If we're spending money, I'd like to see, like,
see the result.
I wanna see it sit in the parking lot in 6 months. Like,
Yeah.
I don't-
I think so.
We did it.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, like,
With that 103.51 you got sitting in there for the balance. $103.51.
I can do that.
yeah,
You spend that however you want, buddy.
So.
half a tank of gas.
Six
We got it,
bullets, a half a tank of gas, and a bottle of water.
yeah, okay, let's do that at least.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Now we all feel
That
better.
was my only pain point, really. I mean, honestly, like I said, coming in
Yeah, I
in
mean,
a year where everything's crazy, we could save 43,000, I know that you've had. There's a significant CBA increase this year, right?
mm,
And to be able to budget that in here, still do that, thank you. So,
yeah, no. Yeah. Yeah, from 2023 to now, you're down 90 grand, so. Impressive, and appreciated.
absolutely. And we've been able to accomplish quite a bit.
Yeah.
And still,
Well, I put more officers on the road.
Right.
You know, had them do a lot more things, build the school resource officer, you know, in the same, actually with less money. You know, in operating at a higher level, I think, than, what has been in the past.
at one point, they had talked about like a. Community. It was when the FRO went away, right?
Yeah.
But the whole entire thing was kind of for that officer, and you fill this role yourself a lot. Which is kind of going around being the spokesperson, being the liaison between the police force. Is there any thought in like actually having your officers do some of that? So we get to know who's actually.
Yeah, they
policing our
actually
town?
do,
Oh, they do.
they do community
Coffee
policing.
with the cops. and-
Yeah, they do community policing, they'll stop in the stores, walk around, go in the hospital, you know, they do all those, they do it. Less bigger than I do it, right, cause I mean, I'm supposed to be the face anyway of
Right.
the department. But they do their small, they'll go into the car dealerships, you know,
Good.
they'll talk to them and, you know, solve whatever little problems they may, little big, whatever problem they may have.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, they just, it's all being done, it's just kind of being done at a different, I guess, level.
You can actually see on the monthly report, sometimes dispatch doesn't always put it in there that
Right.
way, but some of them actually call it in and ask them to put it in as community policing, because that's what they're doing.
Good. Yeah, I mean, much like you've been at, I live here, but I don't work here, right? So kind of flipped on your side, but. It's nice to know that is happening. And I'll be honest with you, to your point earlier, I've seen the increased traffic on Madawaska and I'm grateful for it because when they pass Harriet Street, it's like on the floor.
Yeah.
You can hear it when it used to be, it would start at North Main. So they slowed them down a little bit. They're not doing 130 by the time they hit my house. They're only at 80.
Right.
But, you know, it is good. That's for anything. I mean, I have kids and I have dogs and they run and God forbid something happens, then you'd be after me. But, no, thank you.
All right, I think. Everybody good?
Good. We're good. You gotta beat Russell up for a while.
I think tracking along.
Russell's already been.
I'm the only one that was grilling you. You're good, man. You're good.
Those are just body blows, man. We're coming
Yeah.
headshots now. Boy.
Yeah.
He softened you up, now we're coming at you.
Yeah. Let's see.
So my normal BD's routine in the
Understood, right? Drink some chocolate milk when you get home, it'll all go away.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Here's cramping, bro.
Yeah. Something a little stronger than chocolate. All right, we are moving on to animal control. There is not much there. We are down. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, we're up $1,100. And I honestly didn't have. I got nothing. I'd love to have something, but
Then the Waterville Humane Society, that's a large portion of it,
Yeah.
yeah,
so their fees are up.
that's all, that's always.
So we still having problems with them taking animals.
It hasn't been as bad lately,
Okay.
but all the shelters
Yeah,
deal with this, it's nothing we can do or
Yeah.
control. It's still our best option.
Okay.
yeah, that's everywhere.
Are your calls up?
My calls have been up, but I have a lot of things under control now where I have resources where people can reach out if I can't handle things. But it's steady, depending on the time of the year,
We've seen a bunch of abandonments, like
with
just kicking the pets out and not taking care of them.
sometimes, yes. we
Yeah,
do
okay.
deal-
I've heard a little bit like
Yeah.
that's increasing a little bit, so that's why I was wondering.
Yes,
Okay.
that's very,
That's really frustrating.
it is. But if we can find them and charge them, the owners, we will.
What you, yeah, you did do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah, that was good.
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And skunk season's coming up, so you've gotta be excited for that.
I can't wait.
Yes, very exciting.
Have the wardens on speed dial for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's who should be doing it. You guys got anything?
No.
We're good. Oh, I guess. What are we doing with the cop car that we might have saved for you, but then it's broke and then.
So it needs about $4,000 worth of work. I still put it around town, depending on certain calls that we have with either vicious dogs or something, so it's nice to have that barrier,
Right.
between you and, I still use it, but we're at that spot where
So it's,
I look past inspection.
because of the $4,000.
Yes.
And what's the $4,000 you guys know off the top of your head?
Yeah, there's an airbag sensor that needs
Okay.
to be replaced, and that's about a $2,000 sensor
Yeah,
that has to come from the factory.
okay,
And where it is, it's, I guess, one of the tough places to go.
sure,
to.
sure.
So then tires,
Yep,
some other things, and
I mean,
as soon as I heard the $2,000, though,
debated on it.
not for something we were gonna abandon anyway.
Well, my thought, I mean, so I get that aspect of it. But your situation, it's not like a cop that's trying to get to a life or death situation. I mean, you could, guess you could with a dangerous dog or something like that, but. It's only got 100, I say only, but it's got 160,000 miles on it. It's 8 years old, 8 years old.
It's 2017,
2017.
60,000 miles. My question, I think, just what your opinion is if we say we put 4, maybe it ends up being 5,000
Yeah,
into that, would enough of a return? Would we get 2-3 years out of it at least?
Tough to say, cause I feel like there's always gonna be something else that's gonna go wrong when you're hitting those kind of miles. You know, so,
But you're not driving a ton for the animal control aspect of it.
exactly, but I also, you know, I'll use it for codes as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Just putting around.
right.
So, I think. I think we could repair it, you're not gonna, that $4,000, you're never gonna see that when you sell the car. If we put it up for sale in a year or two.
Right,
But
You know,
but
see it in the
see it-
mileage
see it-
reimbursement.
so it's say it's $4,000. You can, on high end, you would put, on real high end, you would put like 10,000 miles on it a year.
say, yeah,
That would be,
yeah,
I mean, that's pretty significant.
yeah,
So that's being used for
There's
both
no-
of them, right? The code and the animal?
correct.
Right,
So,
that's what I'm saying, like,
I mean, so.
well, what's the gas stipend thing?
That's what I was going.
How
I
much,
think that's
you know,
general government.
what you get?
I think it's 1,500 for the year, but now we just switched over to the Wex cards.
Right,
So I'm doing mileage, like I still was using my truck due to the issues with the car. And then
Right.
sometimes I'll use the car,
no, I
you
get,
know, so.
yeah,
Is that a regular shop that did the assessment on the car?
It was, Ron.
Ron,
Yeah. So it's not gonna be now, because you just lugged his lift out of there yesterday, so.
well, yeah,
Ron, no more. So now we face not $60 an hour, right? So let's just be realistic for a second. So we were gonna pay, he was probably fairer to us.
Oh, yeah,
than
he was great
$60 an hour.
Yeah.
I know he's fairer to me than he
Yeah.
does on the
right,
line.
right, no, I get
So
that,
now we're not taking it to Ron to get an inspection and all of those things, so we need to take that into consideration.
sure,
So I think that we should get, my opinion is, I think we should get a true evaluation from an inspectable garage.
right,
And just
which, yeah,
hit the start over button as soon as we possibly can to make the determination of what we're gonna do.
yeah,
I mean, if you feel comfortable that that vehicle, I mean, of course, with the barrier in the back and all of those things, I completely agree. I wouldn't get in the back of that thing with any of those animals, so that's a very fair point. And necessary,
and this isn't, we don't need to decide this right now, like,
yeah.
I saw it on there, and I
Yeah.
knew it was kind of slated for you, and we talked about it last year.
Absolutely. And if we
Go get
back
a-
with quote that says $6,000 to $8,000 to fix,
Yeah,
why not let
then-
it go and we can get
Yeah.
something at an auction for $6,000 to $8,000 that may be.
Right, yeah,
That was where I was going with it.
right,
I do think that we ought to start with a fair.
but there's certainly, yeah, you can go to 3 or 4 different places around here that will give you, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go to a dealership, if you can avoid it, but.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that's a good starting point, nothing we need to
You feel
decide.
comfortable doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you feel comfortable being in, I mean, I assume if it can drive, it's good.
I've driven worse.
But you want a confidence that when you.
Yeah.
You can go. You don't want this thing-
Yeah, we don't wanna
Yeah,
put
you
you,
guys can deploy when.
that's right, exactly, no, that's right, get it fixed,
That's my big.
that's, yeah, agreed,
Okay, I'll work on that.
and. Yeah, alright,
You can take some of the budget from the PD, okay?
yeah,
That in the surplus a little?
yeah.
I could actually contract a new ACO. There's some cheaper ones out there.
Yeah, how'd that work for you there, Rob?
Heard that request earlier.
Okay, and we had streetlights, but that's down 10 grand and down. What the hell are we down? 23,000 since 2023. Because we changed to LED lights.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer, but. We took. Yeah, anyway, we won't go down that road.
So we got capital revenue left.
I mean, we went through a bunch of that tonight. We went through it as we went.
We have enough capital left.
We went through capital with fire department, police.
We
department.
did theirs, but are we doing all is that
No.
what's on the budget?
No, we've been doing it as we've gone.
Capital of the ones we have that night. I
Right.
have capital on every meeting.
Yeah, calm down over there.
It is.
My God. Trying to do it all tonight.
I'm ready to get to it. I want to get it done.
No, I mean, I think. On the 19th, we'll. Probably loop back to that, but there's not, I mean, it's gonna be public works, basically.
Yeah, public works is the one.
You don't get into that right now, David.
I do.
Not,
you don't.
not without,
No, you don't.
not without public works here, I mean, that doesn't work so hot, but
That's what I do want to do. I
no.
will do it.
Yeah, I think that's
We're good.
it for tonight, appreciate you guys' help and. Hard work on reducing things as best you can. I look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.